You didn't really feel like they needed to get a whole lot more yards because of kind of how good he's been.
That's true.
How much comfort does that give you as a special teams coach?
As soon as we get in range, like we're yelling at all the time, like, in range, in range, in range. Don't make any dumb things happen. Don't let any dumb things happen right there. And our offense did a good job with that. And we got obviously it just feels good to have a guy like Bucker that can make them.
Dave, when you sent him out, when Andy, you guys both sent him out on the
Yeah.
end of the half, was the plan actually at that point?
Yeah, we were going to kick it. I was all in. I was all in with it. Andy was right. He was smart, and so we looked at the situation, with how much time was left on the clock. If you miss it, they get that field position right there, and they'd probably go down and at least kick a field goal. So, he was smart, pulling us out and then going with the punt. I'm happy Matt, made a nice punt there too.
And then just with the kickoff overall, as you look across the league over the first couple of weeks, what really stands out to you?
The ball's getting out to the 30, kind of on an average right now, with occasional balls going for big returns. So, we're still weighing it all out, seeing, what actually is happening right now. And that seems to be the trend right now. So, you got to keep an eye on it, what's going on.
Dave, with Pacheco out, does that affect your guys' kickoff returners with guys maybe haven't taken the big
It might, yeah. I mean, I go to walkthrough every day to see who's getting reps and stuff like that, so I can set up my roster, and it could. I mean, it could be a situation where we don't give Steele as many on that, and then go with Sky and McCole back there a little bit more.
You guys did kick off a couple of returnable kicks.
Yeah.
For the first time. And you guys obviously have indicators you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Explain kind of like
All right, if we see something like during the week, and they show us a look, we might want to try to bang one in there, which it worked out great on the first one, not so good on the second one. They got to the 32, so it's rolling the dice a little bit, but you're trying to, it's a risk reward thing, just like I talked about last week.
Young players sometimes will make their name on special teams and then kind of develop into their role on defense. Jaden Hicks is
Yep.
not too many snaps right now. What do you see, projection-wise in terms of what he could be eventually?
He's in a lot of key spots for us right now. He's our PP on punt, which he's making all the calls, and he's also the mic on punt return. So he's responsible if a team ran a fake, and to be able to stop that, just like we used Sorensen in the past. So he's in a lot of key roles for us, and it's going to help him develop, as a safety, learning football instincts and the speed of the game, and he gets better and better each week. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. That's what I'm really happy about him, about having him.
Player, Connor, just what he means maybe to what you guys think?
Yeah, Connor, obviously that tackle that he made on the kickoff, made his guy miss, open field tackle, got him tackled on the 24-yard line, which anytime you get somebody tackled inside the 25 with this new kickoff stuff, you're doing something special. So that was a heck of a play by him. And, he was good last year. He was the same thing, like Hicks last year, the way he developed through the year, and now it's his second year, and he's that much better, and we got a lot of good players on special teams right now.
With the roster moves this week, with Cole Christensen coming up and Keontae, what are those guys going to be able to do for you on special teams?
Yeah, a guy like Cole, when he's up, you immediately make him a four-phase guy, so he'll relieve some pressure off us. Some guys like Leo and Gray possibly, and Connor. Those spots are valuable spots. But Cole's a guy that I totally have total confidence in, that can go in and play at a high level. We have a lot of good players on the practice squad that can come in and play for us right now.
When these end of roster decisions are made, how much direct contact do you have with Beecher? How does that dynamic?
A lot. Yeah, we talk about it. He comes to my office. We talk about it. Andy, we get on a three-way call. Like early on Monday, we talk about all that stuff.
You mentioned Matt. You have that nice punt before half. When we talked to him up at camp, he was still working on that kind of stuff, and that's going to come with experience. How much better has he gotten with those kind of kicks?
Yeah, he's only had 5 punts so far in 2 games. So, but his first game with the 3 punts, he had 2 touchbacks, and then he came up with the 3rd punt, which was a great punt, the 4.94 that we tackled him for a 2-yard gain. This game, he only had 2. And the goal this past week was no touchbacks, and he did that. So, and then Josh made a great play on the goal line, obviously knocking that ball back, for us. That was a huge play. And combination of him hanging the ball up, you know, and then the coverage getting down there doing their job, you know, it's going to make his job that much easier. But he did make an improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Dave, from a committee perspective, when you guys are evaluating adjusting kickoff or kick return, is there any benefit to moving the kicker back that forces everybody to keep it in play?
You're talking about like if there's a penalty, or
No, just in general, having the kicker move back a little bit to where every kicker's got to keep it in play versus kicking it to the end zone, taking that option away.
I'm not sure I understand.
Kick off at the
Maybe the 30 or the 25.
Changing the
Yeah,
rule.
so that-
Oh, changing the rule to
Yeah, not an
instead of at the 35, put him at the 20. Say,
Is there any benefit to that?
yeah, that would make it a lot harder to kick touchbacks for sure. That would be an option. The other option would be obviously if it is a touchback, give him that ball at the 35. You know, those two things that I'm sure they're going to look at. You know, if this thing keeps going as it's going. You know, I think more and more teams are going to start coming out with the ball a little bit, you know, as it's 2 or 3 deep. They might take a shot a little bit more as the season progresses. I think that's going to happen.
Couple more.
What is Butker's longest, what's the furthest he could make it? And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the
I
hurricane
just-
behind him, but just
Yeah.
in fair conditions, what's the
In
actual?
in a vacuum, he could probably hit, I'd say, a 68-yarder. You know, with a little bit of wind, he could probably bang. You know, I've seen him do it, 73 yards. You know, I've seen him do it. So that kick was very makeable because we had the wind at our back, and he hit I think he hit a 66 in pregame, and then we tried a 73, and he just kind of barely. He was plenty the leg was strong enough, but just a little bit left. So you know, in the right conditions with the time right, you know, if we'd have ran a little bit more time off the clock there, if it was 10 seconds or so, we take a shot at it. You know, we'll get that option. You know, we're going to get that chance. I mean, he was disappointed. You've seen him. He was disappointed when we took him off. He really thought we were going. I did too. I really did. But Danny was right. That was a smart decision by Coach Reed.
No, looking at the weather reports this week, is that
Yeah.
no fun for you? In the snow, or what?
Don't have to worry about it in there, right?
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Host.
Thanks.
Salad, so I'd have something to eat later on. Okay, we're ready to go on to the next one. They don't get any easier. Got another tough opponent, but with that, I'm just going to open it up.
Last couple of games, you've gone with 8 defensive linemen active on game day, and a little bit, I'm sure, Cam and Marlon are new, getting up to speed.
Yeah.
How quickly do you feel like you're going to be able to get them in there?
We're getting there. I mean, we talk about it every week. Brett always comes in and asks, and Joe and Terry have spent a lot of extra time with both Cam and Marlon, and they're both great about it. I mean, they're the first guys in here. So they're chomping at the bit to get in there, and we'll see where that goes. It'd be nice to get more than 8, but there's only so many numbers, so we'll see what happens.
What stands out about the way Chris influences a game, even if it doesn't show up on the
Yeah.
message?
Yeah, he's attracting a lot of double teams right now. I mean, you guys have probably done your film study, so you can see that, right? Yeah, he does. I mean, we try as much as we can to get him, on one person, but that's hard to do. And people tend not to let that happen. One of the things we probably need to do a better job of is get into some longer third downs. I think I was sharing with the unit this morning that, if I did my math right, I think we've only had 19 third and 2 pluses. That's really not enough in a game. It's only 9.5 a game. So But that means we're going to play better on first and second down, and that's where this team's going to become really challenging because we know they run the ball really well.
In the frame of not having a Menahue to start the year again, how important has Leo become in those
Yeah.
lineups?
Leo's been huge. You know, we realized that if we ever had an injury issue on game day at defensive end, you know, Leo can always go in there. I mean, he's been a fullback. We've used him in a lot of different spots. That tells you a lot about him, tells you a lot about how intelligent he is, and, you know, what we think of him as a player, both offensively and defensively. And it's reassuring to have a guy like that.
You watch the Bengals target their tight ends a bunch. What
Yeah.
did the film tell you about, you know, what
Yeah,
your
look
was?
I don't get. I somewhere I heard it or somebody said it to me. I don't get wrapped up too much in all the stats. I mean, tight ends have had a couple of plays on us in the 2 games. Last week, Justin slipped. I don't know how I don't know what you do about that. Get new shoes. And then we had a couple of broken plays, or at least one I can remember in the Baltimore game. So all of a sudden now it's, you know, but listen, we got another really good tight end we got to worry about. So I get it. They also have some other good players, and they have a really good run game. I think I've said this before. You start worrying about, I'm talking first and second down now. You start worrying about taking guys away in the pass game, and you have a team that can run it. It's hard to have enough people left to play the run. So we hope to get better at it, but we're not going to hit the panic button.
Sorry, go ahead.
Trent McDuffie, I mean,
Yeah.
just, you know, you're gonna talk, he obviously got a lot of accolades last year, but now he's lined up, I think the numbers, 4 targets, 1 catch on 40-odd snaps against Jamar Chase. I mean, you know, is that proud papa right there?
Yeah,
You know
well,
he can play the
he ought to feel real proud about it. I mean, listen, that guy he's a headache. He's a good player. I thought Trent did a really good job. I thought, you know, there was some red zone. I would have liked to have had that 4th down red zone stop last week. Would have been really big. But there were other red zone plays in there where I thought our corners did a really good job of taking some things that we thought that they would do. Now, they eventually scored on a couple of them, but thank God we played some decent red zone snaps and got them to kick field goals. But Trent's been kind of leading that whole crew, him and Justin Reed. And it's funny, year 3, right, for Trent goes by quick. But he feels like he's been here because he's mature, you know. It just feels like he's a 10-year vet and he's only in his 3rd year. But we need him to keep playing at a high level.
Steve, obviously you guys liked him, you traded up to get him in the draft that year, but is there something that you maybe didn't know about him that now that you've coached him for a few years, you've come to appreciate about him?
Yeah, listen, we always thought he was an intelligent football player. The one thing I do remember, because I spoke with his college head coach prior to the draft and all that, they also had another good player there, and I can't recall his name, but the other player was playing. Yeah, and he was playing inside a lot, playing nickel. And I remember the question to Jimmy Lake was, that's who he was coaching at the time, was could Trent play nickel? Because I didn't know if we ever were going to have, and he said, yeah, no brainer. Now that was coming from him. He was right, you know. So I didn't know it, having seen it on film, but then once he got here, I mean, really last year it allowed us to move LJ outside because of what Trent could do. And I mean, you guys see it. We put him in both spots now, but that was encouraging, and actually it's given us a boost that he's been able to play inside and outside.
Kirk Cousins, you battled against him for
Yeah.
years, right? Back
Yeah.
when he was in Washington, you were
A lot of
doing
respect.
stuff. How has he kind of like progressed over the years?
Yeah.
And how's he look any different now than back then?
Certainly not throwing the ball. I mean, a lot's been made of the injury and whether he's mobile or not. Although he looked pretty mobile to me against the Eagles. You know, had him under center where he's been a lot. Last year, I thought he gave us some headaches when we went up to Minnesota. I just think he's so smart as a football player, and he's one of those guys that can chuck it anywhere. We were watching one this morning. He still can put it in spots. He's real accurate. You know, in that regard, he's a lot like Joe Burrow. I'm not putting, you know, I mean, I got respect for both of them. And now the one that we're playing, obviously, is the one I respect the most. But I always think a guy like Kirk gives his team a team to win, no matter what the score is. I mean, we saw what he did the other night. And against us up in Minnesota, they were driving, and we had to make a couple of plays at the end. So all hands on deck against him.
Steve, when you're going against a 2-minute drill, and an offense may have that installed for quite some time, what are the keys defensively from keeping them from getting into that rhythm?
Yeah, all the 2 minutes are different in my opinion. You know, do they need a field goal? Do they need 1 touchdown? Do they need 2? And that dictates really how you're going to play it. Most of them are in what we call a challenge mode, not a chunk mode. We call it chunk and challenge. A chunk mode would be is you just don't give up chunk plays and we're going to win. You know, you're probably up by 3 touchdowns, right? Most of them are challenge, and us, it's always been, you know, we don't want to be soft in 2 minute. We want to challenge. Somebody's got to make a play. What really helps in a 2-minute drill is a sack. Quarterbacks are usually too smart and they get rid of it. But if you do the study on it, if you get a sack in at 2 minute, you generally end up winning. But we practice it a lot, and our guys are, well, hopefully if we get one this week or 2, end of the half, end of the game, hopefully we're on point.
One of the things, you guys got the big sack last week, Chamari got the sack. You
Yeah.
had a lot of guys who were defensive backs who were good at rushing. What sort of characteristics do you have to be that blitzer to actually get back there,
Yeah.
make the sack, and not just effective?
That's one thing. When I do evaluate DBs and linebackers as well, I'm always looking for guys that can blitz. I tell you one thing that I always look at is a vertical jump, because I just think that signifies explosive traits. Chamari has it's over 40. I don't know exactly what he'd know exactly what it is, and they all know exactly what they do. But that's one thing that I do. The guys that can go from a standstill to really fast, to me, are the guys that are your best blitzers. And you know, Trent can do it. You know, Chamari's done it. LJ used to do it. You know, we got a lot of guys that can do it. Some guys got to time it up and be moving forward. Other guys can go from a standstill.
Thanks, Coach.
Are there other things besides explosiveness that you look for there?
Well, you know, a knack for timing it up, to me, is a big one, using the quarterback's cadence. I mean, guys that are smart to use all the indicators to time it up right. Because if you give it away, I mean, Kirk Cousins is a perfect example. You give away pressures, he's going to find a way to get out of it or get it protected. I mean, Charmy did a really good job on that one in holding it. So those 2 things to me. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Teams are defending Rashid. It seemed like maybe defending the Ravens didn't do it the exact same.
Every week is probably going to be a little bit different with him and these players we have, and that's a good thing. We like the way that they're playing. They're playing fast, and I think it's the biggest part of the process is going to be us just being able, us as coaches, being able to make sure that we try to get them open in different ways, and then the players adjusting.
With the change with running back, I imagine none of these backs are going to get 24 touches like Pacheco did. Just how does it change the operation for you guys?
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit different, but that's expected. You know, Pops is doing a good job recovering, and that's part of this game is injuries. But we know how much he wanted to be out there. But for us, football-wise, and the X's and O's part, I think the guys that we have in here now have really been able to get a chance to be in this offense, get some valuable reps, whether it be at training camp or preseason, and now it's the next man up mentality. And so, you know, you guys know who the guys are that are here, and for us, the biggest thing is just making sure that we put them in optimum situations and probably don't try to do too much one way or the other with any of them, and understand too that this is going to be, it's a little new to these guys, and that's okay. You know, we just help them through the process, but there's a lot of excitement for them too.
How ready would you feel like is Steele? And is there trepidation just considering he is an undrafted free agent that's new and a rookie here?
I would say there's a lot of confidence with him and with Carson, and he's probably, the best way to put it is, he's probably as ready as he could possibly be for being a young rookie player in this position for this team. So we're excited about that. He's had a phenomenal attitude, and we have a lot of trust in him.
Matt, what's the plan at left tackle? You guys already decided who's going to start on Sunday?
No, you know, we talked through all that, and you know, Coach in the end will go ahead and make that decision. But for us right now, it's just the biggest thing is making sure that whoever it is, that they're ready, and that these guys are able to really just continue to stay positive and be great teammates and leaders, and I think that's the beauty of this game throughout.
What have you seen from Kingsley since Sunday?
He's been great. Like he's when you go through that or something like that in that game, it's all about your attitude and how you handle it, and like how do you handle it the next day. It can be tough, but he's such even though he's a young kid, he's a mature kid, and he's a fighter. So when you're a fighter, you want to try to get better each and every day, and that's what he's done all week.
I know it's just been one day, but what kind of football shape does Kareem look like that he's in, and how does he kind of compare to when you last had him?
Yeah, he I think he looks good, and for him, there's a lot that goes to it, but for his situation, just kind of relearning the offense and getting back into the sync of the physical parts with the reps. But there's going to be a little bit of time that goes with it, but for the most part, he's been impressive. And I think for us, that's a good thing, because to me, I had him in 2017 when he was just here, and I really, the person, the player, all that, you see it there, but you also understand the process and what he's getting into. So yesterday was day one. We'll see where day two takes us today.
Coach, we've heard, Andy talk about not using Pat in a quarterback sneak role, and we understand why, what happened and everything, but I heard a stat somewhere about Carson Wentz actually had a higher success rate on quarterback sneaks than they have with the tush push now in Philadelphia. I mean, would that be an option, that you send him out there? And I know you don't want to show the defense, hey, every time he comes out here he's going to do it, but he's not a tight end taking the snap. He's a quarterback. He can throw. He can do everything else. But
well, I'd hold off on the he can throw part. I don't know about that. But yeah, who knows? It's we're open to all and any idea. So Coach Reed, he's always looking for different ways to do things. So maybe not. I don't know. It sounds like kind of a scheme question.
And Matt, what have you seen from Travis through 2 weeks, just generally out there?
Travis has been really good. I know, you look at the targets, you look at the numbers, you look at all that stuff with Travis, and he for who he is, I've been with him quite a long time. I've seen him around practice, I've seen him in games, and there's been zero change. He's been great, and I think he knows who he is, we know who he is, and when you have that, it's important to know that, and it's just a matter of time.
Matt, with the parity that's in the league and how tight games are in the fourth quarter, what are the keys for you guys in being able to close those games out and get the win?
Be on the same page. When you get to the situational football, you all got to be thinking the same thing. And as much as you can do that without being in panic mode, you want to be calm, cool, and collected in those moments. And there was some situational football last weekend, whether it be at the end of the half or at the end of the game. And I thought all three phases did a great job. But you gotta make sure you over communicate throughout the week with understanding situations, and then when you get put in that position in live, you better do it the right way.
What are the
Last
challenges of the Falcons defense where they provide for you guys?
Well, I just think they play hard. They really play hard. They're a defense that they keep a lot of things in front of them. You saw that game the other night with Philadelphia, and they did a really good job of tackling. They're physical. They understand the scheme. It's a great scheme that they have, and they got good football players. So for us, the biggest thing is, how do we play fast, and then understand that they're a good football team. It's obviously a primetime game, so they'll be juiced up. We'll be juiced up. But I think Coach Morris has done a great job in their defense in general, and he always has.
Coach, I know you're focused on your games and your team and everything, but passing touchdowns are way down league-wide. Defenses seem to be having the advantage right now. I know football's cyclical, but you got any theory on why all of a sudden they seem to be getting, having so much success against the passing game overall?
Well, it is cyclical. I think that the defenses, whether you look at it you can get into the whole cover two shell idea. You can get the extra guys down in the box to stop the run, so you want to pass more, and then you pass more, and now they go cover two or shell. I also think too that there's probably a little bit. I don't know this. It's just hitting me as you're asking the question, but I'd be curious to know what those numbers were 4 or 5, 6 years ago, and who those starting quarterbacks were then, and the experience they had versus the quarterbacks now and the experience they have now as those starters. I don't know that. Maybe I'm way off, but it could be something there. There's a lot of young quarterbacks, and it's a tough position, and so maybe it's a combination of both.
Last one, Pete.
Regardless of who starts at left tackle, how much do you sense that maybe in certain situations you guys might have to go a little bit heavier just to figure out, okay, do we have enough protection there for Pat?
Well, we always want to make sure, and even last week, Trey Henderson is a dominant defensive end, so we knew that going into it, and we had different things to try to help us out with that. So every week, regardless of who it is, we want to make sure that Pat is protected and the quarterback in general. So we'll have a good plan for it, and then we got to be able to adjust too, because they're going to do different things for defensively each week, and that's our job as coaches to put the guys in the best position.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thank you. See you guys.
This next couple.
How are you?
Jaden Hicks, just how is he developing, and how much further do you think it could be before he could be a real contributor?
Yeah, I mean, when Jay Reed had his little boo-boo of his finger the other day, Jaden went right in and ended up showing up on a couple of plays for us, and so he's developing exactly the way that we thought he would. And so, but as far as his role going forward, I think we can end up start seeing him a little more. Spags and I have talked about that, and so hopefully that's going to be coming soon. But heck of a football player. We would like to continue to get him in there if we can.
What's impressed you most about Trent so far this season?
His ability to be calm no matter where we put him on the defense, whether he's going to the corner position, whether he's sliding into the nickel position, just his ability to be able to move around, because last year he didn't have to necessarily travel around as much. But he's just a good guy that you can talk to about, hey, this is what we would like to do, whether it's bunch, stacks, whether it's a particular wide receiver, and Trent just never bats an eye.
In training camp, you were forward and kind of saying, we hope another cornerback steps up for 2 weeks. What's your assessment of how Jalen has done?
Yeah, Jalen has done a good job for us. When he had the last preseason game and he didn't play so well, that was a little digression for him. But since then, I mean, he refocused. He got back to the Jalen Watson that we thought that he would become, and so hopefully he would continue to ascend and going in the direction that he's currently going in.
Dave, with the running back as dynamic as Bijan Robinson,
Yes.
both run and pass, what does the secondary have to be mindful of?
Have to be ready to, number one, not only the running back, you have to be ready to defeat blocks first. So Drake is a pretty daggone good blocker. He reminds me of an old Hines Ward throwback type blocker. As far as this young man is big body guy. So the number one thing we've been working on all week is making sure we take care of the first contact, which is our pressure key. And then we can get to the running back next. But understanding that 5 is the guy that does a lot of the heavy lifting and being ready to crack, replace, and if he's getting ready to block you, you better make sure you bring your lunch pail. And then you have to deal with the back next. And so I think a lot of people, when they
or looking at this run scheme, their eyes are so focused on the back, and all of a sudden they're getting cracked, they're getting walled off. And so if you don't take care of the first line of defense first, for us offensive linemen cutting as well as wide receivers blocking, it's going to be a long day.
In your eyes, what makes the conditions perfect for a timely defensive back blitz?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna leave that one to the Spags. I won't answer that. All right. When I become the coordinator of the Raleigh Bull Little League team, then I can answer that question there.
Dave, I know you're joking about Justin's little boo-boo, but his hands look pretty mangled after the game. I think one was cut, and he suggested a finger was broken.
Yeah.
What does it take to still be effective when you got that going on, and how much does that happen to D-backs having to deal with stuff with their hands?
Yeah, that was one that probably one of the, in my 20-something years, I don't think I've had a defensive back that had that type of a cut. And now to see him come back into practice and we go over and hit the sleds, there's nothing that we changed on our weekly routine, and he was able to go over and strike the sled still. So the kid is, the young man, he's not a kid, the young man is really mentally strong. Justin has a mentality that, hey, let's move on. It's just a finger. Let's keep going. And so I know if that was me, I would probably be asking my wife to, to just pray with me and just, have some ice at home for me. But not Justin. He just continues to go. So, but I'm happy that we have a guy like that on our team, because other players are seeing that. And when other players see that, that's when you just start to gain that grit, those calluses on your fingers when you're lifting weights. And now you're getting teams coming in here and they're coming into a culture where, like, okay, wait a minute, that's the standard. So I can't hold out if I have a little injury. So happy for him.
Now's got more work in
Yeah.
it too. Is that just a matter of getting him back into football shape and not getting the rest up?
That's exactly right. Nazeeh Johnson, you cannot. There's not a better human being in that locker room, in my opinion, than Nazeeh Johnson. He's always positive. He's always smiling. Brother man is his word. What's up, brother man? But Nazeeh is one of those guys to be able to get him going and playing in some of his first time NFL games. You think about it, he's been a special teamer. And going, when I say playing, playing the corner position. Nazeeh is doing a great job for us, and he's going to continue to learn. He had the touchdown that he gave up the other day in the red zone, but he'll learn from that. But he's just a great young man who's, we're happy that part of the Fab Five, that he's one of the fifth piece of that puzzle that's stepping up for us.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Fire away.
What do you think from Carson going into this week?
Carson's going in just being confident. You can see his work ethic and the things that he's doing is very impressive.
How far has Samaje come since he arrived, playbook-wise? And you feel like he'll be ready for what could be 100% workload, whatever you want to use it in that sense?
Well, he's a smart vet. He's been around, been in the game for a long time, and he'll be ready to go. Guys prepare well.
What have you seen from Isaiah, just sort of maybe conversations you've had with them? I mean, Andy talked yesterday about the fact he still wanted to walk up the field himself. What have you just seen mentally from him since this is?
Well, it's mental toughness. He's the guy that want to be out there regardless of what he had going on. And that's one thing about Isaiah is, he gonna bring the energy. He gonna go 100 miles to nothing every play, and that's something that he's still gonna bring once he going to start his PT.
You only have the single look at Kareem. You get the sense that he still has a good amount of juice left and can ride something for you guys if it's not this week and in the weeks to come.
Yeah, he has it. He has it. We just got to get him up to speed on what things that we do, and a lot of stuff that he's doing now is coming back to him. So once we get him up to speed, we'll go from there.
He hasn't played since January. Just how much time does it take to kind of get up to the football shape and the speed that you need right now?
We'll see. We'll see. The first and foremost, just get him acclimated to things that we're doing now to get him up to speed, and we'll see what's going to happen next couple of weeks.
Coach Reed wants his backs to be able to catch the ball, right? How is Carson's receiving skills? What do you think where they are now, where they were when you got them first, and maybe how they've developed to this point?
Well, just for all backs, they got to be able to catch the ball at the backfield, run different routes, and those not only Carson, every running back right now, they can catch the ball well at the backfield. So that's a good positive thing. They can alter their running style. So it helps a lot.
Last couple.
What was the conversation with Carson after the fumble on Sunday, and how does he learn from that?
Well, he's going to learn from it. He just know we got to protect the ball and move on from it. He can't get down on himself about it. And he's learning. It's a learning curve for him, and hopefully not to make the mistakes anymore.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
It was more mental errors than technique. Just wonder what your assessment was of the sequence that he had in the second half there.
Yeah, in the second half, he had a couple breakdowns in technique. And yeah, he had one or two mental errors there. I think it was earlier in the game that those occurred. But, you know, stuff that he was able to look at, we were able to make corrections in our meeting, and stuff he's working on this week.
What have the past few days been like with him in particular?
I thought he had a good day of work yesterday. He came out, addressed some of those coaching points that we hit in our meeting. I thought he worked his tail off.
Is this just some of the stuff you put a rookie at left tackle, that just kind of some of the growing pains you're going to have to endure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every rookie will go through those ups and downs. Let's not forget he was playing against an elite pass rusher there. And so it's a good lesson, good opportunity to learn and grow. So by no means am I down on Kingsley. I've got a lot of faith in him.
Is there any benefit to giving him some time off, and giving him a game off, and versus just, you know, continuing to push him out there to learn?
I would say, generally speaking, that is an effective tool that you can use with guys. We've done that in the past with other guys, whether you talk about Austin Ryder, even Larry, Duvernay Tardif. I mean, that can be an effective technique.
How much does your run blocking scheme change when you're shifting personnel when it comes to the running back?
I'd say not much. And one of the things that we try to do is we do a lot of different kinds of run schemes, inside zone, mid zone, gap schemes. And so we usually carry a mixture of all those things. And we ask our backs to learn them all. So that's a tall order. It's true, some backs are better at this than that. But really, we work hard at, hey, let's be good at all these things, because if this is drying up, let's go to this.
Andy, what have you seen from your run game the past 2 weeks with as much as you guys have been able to run the ball?
Well, I was pleased with our efficiency in terms of, you know, helping us move the chains on first and second down, being efficient there rather than, you know, taking a negative play, particularly last week. And that usually comes down to execution. I thought the guys ran hard last week. Every week is a new challenge, so we've got a different defensive scheme. This week it's going to be a challenge to run the ball against this outfit.
And with a wide variety of blocking scheme like you talked about there, with the zones and everything, what's the benefit of that versus being focused on one part and being the lead at that?
Well, one benefit would be you make defenses work on different things. I like making defenses work. They make me work. And then the other is, as I say, hey, whatever it is they've got going today, hey, I thought gap schemes were going to be good, but really what we need to be doing is stretching the ball, or vice versa. So having something to go to, I've always been a believer in.
Last one, Jesse.
What'd you think about Wanye when he went in there?
Yeah, I thought Wanye did a nice job. I mean, he also is a young player. And, you know, he got a penalty with a hands to the face there. But I like that he went in, competed. I mean, we got two really talented, up-and-coming left tackles to work with there, which excites me.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks.
Fire away for Chris.
Chris, you've seen a lot of double teams throughout your career, but I just wonder, has it increased? You know, did the Bengals give you even more attention than they have been?
It's normal. Used to it. I expected it. So for me, I don't really count the double teams. We just make the most of it.
Chris, I know on X you talked about, you know, George being awarded half that sack. Is there a certain level of fine dining that you guys have agreed upon for that?
Hey, listen. I'm trying my best not to get fined. But in my 9 years of playing, 3 days later, when my hand was clearly on him, I don't know who viewed it. I can't tell you how many eyes viewed this play 29, but who's counting? That we both touched him at the same time. I mean, so I look at it like this, you know. I look at it like this. We go back to last year. I rep Russell Wilson, bringing him down. George touched him as he was going down to give him a half, right? I don't report it. But if we that critical on sacks, that would have put me at 11 sacks last year. You know what I mean? But this year, a sack that I worked so hard to get half. We're going to pill it. We need to get more eyes on it. I think, you know, we're only human. We make mistakes. But I'm trusting in the league, in the NFL, and all the individuals that partake in the statistic-wise, and the FanDuel and all the fantasy players, that whoever won Sunday and lost yesterday, they'll be able to redeem that and get their money back. Because I'm on you guys' side.
How did you find out about this, that they took that sack away?
I'm on Twitter. And honest to God, out of my 9 years of playing, I never seen it. I never seen it happen. It never happened to me. It was a first for me. I was traumatic and destroyed by it. Very emotional, as you can see on X. I don't want the dinner. I just want my half a sack, okay? To keep the dinner. I don't want the dinner. Just give me my half a sack back. I work for it. I'm not asking for anything that I didn't earn.
Chris, you'll have to get the half a sack back. But what does it mean when you look up now and within range are names like Justin Houston, Neil Smith, and Kantamba?
Well, listen, those are the guys that came in here and laid a foundation for me to look forward to and try to one day even get close to their names and stuff. So when you go from players like Tamba Ali, Justin Houston, most importantly, Derry Thomas, who was the all-time leader, I think, at 123, but who's counting? You know, you look up to those type of guys, man, because they set the foundation on what greatness should look like and what to be superior look like. So, you know, when my name is even mentioned at the bottom of that category, it's an honor, but it's still a lot of more work to do.
You mentioned being double teamed and Mike Dan and George Karlaftis, the development of those guys around you to take advantage, even though I know about the half sack and everything, but just to see those guys.
It's disgusting.
But seeing those guys still, you know, take advantage of the fact that you're double, sometimes I think even triple teamed at one point, you know, how are you seeing those guys develop around you as much together?
We harp on it a lot as a group and as individuals. I think it's important that those guys are able to come out, whether it's games or whether it's just them beating their man off the line, that they're coming out and they're getting going early, because I'm used to it first and second quarter where I'm going to face a lot of double teams. I'm going to face a lot of hands at one time. And that's okay. As long as those guys are going, I'm able to, third and fourth quarter, offensive linemen get lazy. I'm still able to, like, be productive. But getting those guys going is very important to how successful we can be as a group.
Can
Go ahead and Sam, and we'll do the last
that
two.
two-play sequence before, you know, the one where you chase Burrow out of the pocket, he fumbles, but also the play before. Can you take me through just sniffing out the play when you saw on them wanting to run that screen play?
Listen, it's not many times in my career I don't get blocked. So when there's a point in time, I know my pass rush move ain't that good. So it's tough for you not to block me. So I knew something had to be up. I seen the back going the same way as the center, and realized that anytime something like that happens, it's usually 99% a screen.
Chris, there's probably no one answer to this, but what does it take to be successful against double teams? I know you face it all the time, but what does it take to make something of that?
First off, it takes relentlessness. It takes when you get a half a sack that you get a half a sack. It takes the lead not taking a half a sack away from you. Oh.
Had a walk-off.
Thanks, everyone.